Hey everybody, this is Dana B from Mountain Patriots. How are you all today? Today is March 20th, 2025 in the year of our Lord. And this is the Mountain Patriot Podcast number 2. I'm Dana B. I'm here with my buddy Charlie M and Kent G, and we're going to talk to you all today a little bit about what's going on. But what I want to start off with first is tell you a little bit about Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries. This little group started about 3 years ago, literally as a community watch. And we're a Christian based organization and cadre of citizens that have our country and our state at heart. Okay. We believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we do work on a local level here in the Frederick County, Warren County, Page County, Shenandoah, a couple of Loudoun County, just in those areas. We meet every week. We have for almost the last 3 years, and we work on everything from a spiritual ministry, educational ministry, constitutional, civil defense, preparedness, and also elections. And we also do a lot of stuff in the community. We have a big conference coming up called Wake Up Winchester Health and Freedom Conference number 8 at the Millwood Fire Hall on June 28th from 11 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock in the afternoon with some great speakers. We'll talk about that later. And we'll have our elected officials there, some of our elected officials, so that people can understand what our elected officials actually do in our community. Because I don't know, like we are, we've always wondered, we are out there and voting and looking at certain people. We always wondered what each one of the elected officials did and what was so important about that person actually running. So we do a lot of vetting process on these people so the people are a little bit better off. And we get a chance to know how that works out. And that's going to be for our country. That's going to be on June 28th. So real quick, I'm going to have, I am the chairman of Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries. I've got my lead council person, Kent, here with us, and I've got our co-chair, Charlie Markert. And Charlie, I'm going to pass it over to you so you can tell everybody a little bit about you and about us.
Yes. What really got me interested in this group was I was looking for some group who would be willing and able and actually was doing preparation for emergencies and uh, getting into the primary portion of politics where we can help make a difference by choosing the right people to represent the conservative point of view. And this is a group of constitutional Christian conservatives. And it fit what exactly I was looking for, um, with a lot of energy and involvement and willingness to step in and make a difference. And um, I would invite anybody else who's interested in making a difference, using your spare time wisely instead of watching some inane television show, which I've done too. um, it's more satisfying and gratifying to step out and make a difference. So that's where I'm all about in getting involved with Mountain Patriots. Kent?
Awesome. Kent.
Oh yeah, I got to follow you guys. It's always tough, but it's good to see you guys this afternoon.
Hey,
My
buddy.
name's Kent. I've been the good thing is I just recently retired after 25 years of government service. Been all over the place around the world. Did a lot of stuff as far as training and education, and I happened upon this group sometime over the past summer of 24. Just surfing the radio net on the GMRS channels. I got into GMRS radio a little over a year ago. Do a lot of overlanding and camping, and this is something I moved out of CB realm into a different type of radio platform. Happened to hear these guys one night on a net call and tried everything I could for 2 months to try to figure out to triangulate them and find out who they are and who they were. And lo and behold, I picked them up in October, and I've been in ever since.
Glad you did.
Love it.
Thanks.
Love it. Well, we are an educational ministry, and we decided that everybody can get as much national news as they can possibly absorb, or local news. And we wanted to take a step at and a stab at and a step in a direction of taking a look at what's going on nationally, and then how that affects us. We look at the world, look at things nationally, look at how things affect us from a state level. And then that leads us right back down to the local level. And as most people are probably aware, in order to make anything happen, you have to do things from the local level, from the grassroots. So we are a grassroots organization, and every week we try to cover different topics. And this week, we're covering a little bit about what's going on with the cartels. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened a little bit with the assassination, possibly of Trump, that actually happened in Butler. A little bit about DOGE, a little update on that, and then we're going to touch on a little bit about our local elections. And we had a nice conversation the other day. And Kent, I'll throw the ball to you here, but we were talking about how inclusive that we're trying to become here as a country. And you turn on the television set, and we're watching people that some people that aren't Trump supporters, like the mainstream media, they're literally losing their mind over everything that President Trump is actually doing. And it's actually what he's doing is to our benefit. At least that's how we see it, and their benefit. But they're kind of cutting off the head of the thing here to their own detriment. So we were talking about people losing their mind, and a little bit about the cartels and what Trump is doing with trying to get our country safe on immigration. What's your take on it?
Well, it's part of our fabric and foundation as a country. If you don't have any borders, you're not a country.
Right.
You're just basically a dumping ground. I've been to a lot of places over the past many years, and you just can't walk into a country just because.
Right.
Try that. Let me know what happens after they put you in jail. There has to be justification. You have to have a visa. Some places you have to have a visa. Some places you don't.
Right.
But you got to be there, and it's either official. You're there for an official reason, or you're there as a tourist. You just can't walk across and expect to get a handout. Sadly, this is the only place that's ever done that, and it's just a never-ending wheel of just taxation. We have to pay for everything. I'm just like everybody else. We're just kind of tired of just holding people's hand and giving what they want. And meanwhile, our veterans don't get anything. They're homeless. The rest of the people are just living in really a bad time and just can't find their way forward. And as far as getting rid of these gangs, that's 100%. Who wouldn't feel safe, or who wouldn't want to live into a safe community?
Right.
I don't want to live in a community where it's owned by warlords, or
Right.
owned by a mafia style strong arm tactics to get stuff done. Pay us for protection, whatever the case may be. Look what happened in from what I can remember, the southern portion of the country, especially down in Texas.
Hmm.
There was areas within certain cities that these guys were actually infiltrating and kicking down apartment complexes, and kicking out older people, and just basically just seizing their home for no apparent reason. They just go ahead and take over these buildings. Uh, Obviously, that has to come to a stop, and it has. We got the right people in charge. You're talking about dangerous, dangerous, dangerous people, murderers, rapists, drug dealers, human trafficking, all this stuff. And the good thing is, what makes them stand out is when you put tattoos and stuff all over your face. That's kind of an indicator. You use that for intelligence gathering. And these are some hardcore, scary people. And we are kicking them out, hopefully a lot faster. But we are moving them out pretty quickly, getting them out and getting them back to where they came from. And they have some scary places they're going back to. Their prison systems are terrifying. But that's where they need to be. They need to be out of here. And I'm tired of footing the bill.
Well, Kent, let me add to that. You were talking about these cartels, and they're actually you got Bukele, who's actually let people come in to El Salvador. Okay. And that's supposed to be one of the worst, most incredibly bad prisons in the world. And you've got people actually in Venezuela right now that are in the streets going, United States, take these people back, take them. They don't want them.
No.
Okay. And this is Trendalagua. And the way Bukele's got it set up is he's actually going to use these folks for labor. Okay. The United States is paying part of it. So everybody kind of makes out, and we end up a lot safer. And then we end up at the same time that we had the Venezuelan people and Maduro acting up. You've got this Bosberg, good old Jeb James Bosberg, that's a whole other story we can cover here too, that wanted them to turn the planes around and bring them back into the United States, which takes us into the judicial system, which has really no right to, under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act, the president can do that for our own security. And
Just
Charlie,
stop and think what that
exactly
judge is doing.
right,
That judge is telling the president of the United States
what to do.
how to do things, what to do, and how to do them. And there's this thing called separation of powers,
Right.
where
We have
the
three different
judiciary it doesn't
branches.
do that. And there, what has happened with this issue of all of these gangs and getting them out of this country, and we're finding out what the true Democrats are,
Right.
because they're resisting our deporting criminal aliens. That just makes no sense at all. They're trying to hit Trump with lawfare in every sector, everything that Trump is doing. They're finding a judge, they're judge shopping and finding a judge that will rule against the president.
Right.
And all it's doing is delaying, because, like Dana said, that judge has no business making that kind of ruling.
None.
And I was listening to, so that gets me to thinking, well, what do the Democrats stand for? I've written articles about that, and I'm not going to go into all that detail, but they're anti-everything. And I saw one interview of a Democrat leader saying, well, we need to get a better message. We need to come up with a better way and message and method of attacking Trump. That
Was
was
that
the answer to
Clyburn
the
or
question:
Schumer,
is what do the
Charlie?
Democrats stand for?
Right.
If they stand for nothing but attacking Trump and now Elon, it's just totally ridiculous and unexplainable.
You guys remember? A little while ago when Ron DeSantis was sending all those people up to Martha's Vineyard,
Right.
right? And it was
They wanted him out.
and
Right.
it was kind of a way to do it, to say, like, well, listen, this is what you wanted. We don't want it here, so you take them. No,
Not
no,
our
we don't
backyard.
want them up here. So
In
yeah,
24 hours, they had him off the island.
exactly.
Exactly.
So what, you have to, you ask the question, like, what's going on here? What's the real story with all this stuff? I don't want violent gang members and murderers in my backyard. I don't think anybody does.
No.
And so what's the point of bringing them back?
right. And why is the key thing, and Charlie brought it up a few seconds ago, we have three branches of government. Okay. And I'm wondering how many people watching this can literally name the three branches of government. Okay.
Huey,
So,
Louie, and Dewey.
yeah, Huey, Dewey, and Lure, or Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Okay. That's that law firm down in DC, Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Yep.
Okay. But, you've got, not only do you have this judge, and you're right, Charlie, they're using different judges, they're judge shopping, but then you have Judge Roberts that comes out. Now that tells me right there, if Judge Roberts is actually in the middle of this, who has something on what? And what we're starting to see is people have something over somebody. Like Epstein, they have something on him from Epstein, or they have something on child trafficking or USAID. But this is with and this is just my opinion, my humble opinion, folks. The Judge
That's
Roberts.
right. We only give opinions here.
We only give opinions. I don't give any facts. Okay. Some of this will be factual. Go do your own research. But Judge Roberts comes out, and here's his quote. And I was actually watching, I don't watch just TV. I watch all the different, I want to get a flavor from everywhere. Okay. And there are a lot of times that MSNBC or CNN or something will actually make a valid point. I mean, you can't be wrong. A clock is at least right twice a day. Okay. We do know that. But Judge Roberts comes out and says for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment, which is what they want to do to this judge, impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. If I were him, I would watch what I'm saying. I mean, that's just, we're kind of he's stepping in some ground here. And what I kind of foresee is a cleaning out. We've already cleaned out a lot of different things, and now we're seeing the cleaning out of illegal immigration, which you're right, you don't want them at your house. We don't want them at ours. But we're starting to see a clean out of CEOs. Now we're into judges. Who is actually a constitutional judge? So when Trump actually said, I'm going to drain the swamp, I think that goes back to what we were talking originally about is the liberals are losing their minds over the fact that he's actually fixing. Now, is it going to be perfect? No. But I'll take what he's doing right now over what we were dealing with before. Kent, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's the only way forward, and sometimes things are going to get ugly to make it better, right? It's just going to be a painful process until things get put in place and move forward. But clearly, there's roadblocks, and that's the question.
Intentional.
Yeah, and that's the question for me that I'm kind of scratching my head and like, why?
Right.
You take an oath. We all, if you served, no matter what, you take an oath to the Constitution. It's the bare bones, basic, and fabric of the foundation of this country. It's a constitutional republic.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be interpret anything beyond that. I mean, that's the law of the land. And I don't know. I'm still scratching my head on why is one
Well,
person doing this, or why is the ACLU supporting this? And you're just, these are hardened people. These are murderers. These people
Charlie
kill
brought that
kids
up
and
with the
everything else.
ACLU.
Yeah.
He was brought up. Stephen Miller's been all over this. And you do know that Trump on last September was talking about using the Alien Enemies Act. This goes back before he was actually elected, and he can do this without Congress. What were you going to say, Charlie?
I was going to say that we need to keep in mind that the judiciary, the Supreme Court,
Right.
um, only impact the Supreme Court has is their decisions that come up through the other court system.
Right.
They don't have any impact on managing or firing or hiring or anything with the whole court system beneath them. In fact, it's actually underneath Congress. Congress created the entire judicial system
Right.
except for the Supreme Court.
Yep.
All of that other stuff is not part of the Supreme Court. The Supremes only decide issues that come up for a final interpretation relative to the Constitution.
Right.
So there's some things that could be done that Congress could do. In the extreme, they could wipe out the judicial system and start a new one and replace it. I mean, when we get to the point where if all the judges in the judicial system are leftist, then Congress needs to step in and do something about that.
Well, they're not allowed to, Charlie. Tell us, if you're looking at national security, and this is a national security risk, big time. Okay. Um, what right does the judicial system to talk to the Department of Defense or so on to say we want to know where the planes are, where the ships are, what is your
No,
plan out there? They have
there-
nothing to do with that.
unless the rest of the system does nothing.
Right.
And that's what's happened for years is they overstep their boundaries and no one pushes back for a whole lot of reasons. And that
Fear.
just becomes the culture in the judiciary. I mean, it's like Kent said, and you said this, we don't understand. I mean, this is they're not respecting the Constitution. Well, that's exactly it. They are not respecting the Constitution.
But why?
It's illegal. Well,
It's a
that is
resistance to it.
that's the $64 question.
And I think I got a couple thoughts on it. This guy, but we'll just we know what Robert said, and then you got this Bosberg, his wife, if you do a little bit of research, this really bothered me, okay, the other night. And this is one of those things that I just had to sit around and do some research on. But you've got money that's out there. His wife is number one, she's a Democratic supporter. I think that they have to have something, or they're getting something out of it to go with a certain narrative. You know, would you do this for me for $1 million? Okay, well, you already figured out that you're a criminal. Now let's discuss price. Okay, that's kind of how it works out, at least the way I see it. But there's a lot of conflict of interest in here with this Elizabeth Liddy Bosberg and her abortion clinic down here in McLean, Virginia, that opened up in 2024. I mean, we have a problem here in Virginia with our own government, which we'll get to in a second. And then his wife, his daughter, Catherine, she's part of a 501c3 that called Partners for Justice. And here's another giveaway, like Kent was talking about some of the tattoos all over the place. When you start using pronouns like she, her, that kind of tilts you in what direction you're going to. But 76% of the money that came to that organization, Partners for Justice, comes from grants from USAID. So we're funding, again, our own demise. So what do they have on the judges that is stopping the judges from doing their constitutional duty? That's you said it's a $54 question. And this Partners for Justice is to increase equity. Now let's tie it back to El Salvador. To increase the equity and give a positive thing for incarcerated people. So they use this to get people out of jail or to lighten the sentences of hardened criminals. Yet, take Bosberg again, he was all part of J6 and trying to lock up the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and let Ray Epps off. So there's a lot of stuff that all kind of gels together, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying, Charlie?
Yeah.
It all ties together. What do they have on them?
It all ties together. But, it gets back to, well, what do the Democrats stand for? And we know what we stand for. We articulate that all the time. And it's very clear.
Right.
But whatever, I shouldn't say just Democrats. There are some Democrats.
There's a lot of Republicans in this too.
Yeah, but there are some Democrats that are legitimate old school Democrats that shouldn't fall in these generalizations that we make.
I agree.
But the Democrats are a party of intolerance. They're a party of anger, and they're a party of hate. And that's what they sell. And that's what everybody's buying, that's believing what they sell. And we have a whole host of things that we need to do because we're an open society. They've been able to come in and garner control. Yeah. And we have to get them out. And in order to do that, we've got to re-educate the children, re-educate the young people. This latest generation coming out is becoming politically active and common sense, and rebelling against some of these progressive liberalist directions the country's going in. And bravo for them, whether they're Democrat or Republican, they're waking up. So that's got to be, that is our business, is waking up people to what they stand for, what we stand for, and how to make a difference. There's a whole nation out there. Half the people are angry. Half the people are mad at Trump. Half the people are mad at Republicans, and they're fomenting that every chance they get. I've heard so many people talking about that Trump needs to be taken down, and they'll even come on the internet and say, you know what you need to do. You know
Right.
it.
Same
You
with
can do
ants.
it. You
Right.
can just go ahead and do it. We'll make us, you'll live on in statues. We'll make you a hero. You can do it. Now that's nothing more than inciting someone to go and do an assassination or an
Right.
assassination attempt. And that's what the Democrats are supporting by their silence of opposing it.
Let's do this. Let's segue. Let's take a couple seconds here. And Charlie, you wanted to tell a little bit about educational ministries, and then we'll go into the attempted assassination of Trump because you just brought it. You just hit something on that because that's what they're trying to do to stop what's going on, and the only way to do it, for the most part, is to take out the leader. But you wanted to talk about um, the educational ministries and some of the things that we do and why people might want to take a look at Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries.
Yeah, absolutely. What we've explained before, and we'll explain again, because we believe in the approach of education of tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them, then you tell them what you told them. So it may seem a little repetitious, but I'm just going to list the 7 ministries again that we have. Uh, Education ministry, spiritual ministry, constitution ministry, civil defense ministry, preparedness ministry, community ministry, and health ministry. And all of those, that pretty well covers the waterfront. Well, there's a few things that aren't in there, but we have a credo that we um, assist with support, safety, and security of our neighbors in Frederick County.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want to do. And part of that is you getting prepared. So we share what you can do, what you have to do to um, be more likely to survive when electricity fails, when uh, even when the community um, collapses.
Could be a
Um,
wildfire. We've
yeah,
had
that
plenty of them.
could be
Flood,
anything that
anything.
uh, the things that happen now and have happened recently.
Mhm.
We stand there to help individuals, help people um, get through these things and learn more about them. And like the Constitution Ministry, that what we're talking today fits right into that because it's the Constitution that's being ignored and is causing all sorts of
Right.
internal battles internal to the U.S. and dividing us. And there's an interest on the other side to create chaos and keep us in division. The Civil Defense Ministry is let's kind of like a neighborhood watch. Let's just pay attention to what's going on and inform each other. And the community ministry is, well, let's help out people that are in need. We can't do everything because we have
Mm-hmm.
uh, very, very few resources. And we have our members that have their own time, their talent, their willingness, and knowledge to share. And that's a large part of what we're about. And then the health ministry is we talk about vaccines, we talk about what's going in our food supply, we're talking about how to have local food sources and help each other understand where those sources are, and then have that health of the non-traditional health, the
Mm-hmm.
medicine,
Holistic.
wellness, supplements, all that kind of stuff. We're interested in all of those because it makes us better and more able to keep on keeping on.
So it kind of mixes our mixes in with the Maha at the same
Yeah,
time, making keeping America healthy. And how they get
exactly.
it, you and Charlie, they get it. They can get in touch with us through MT Patriots at proton.me, or just go to Wake Up Winchester and leave us a note, and we'll get back to you.
Winchester, wakeupwinchester.com.
Absolutely. And there's plenty of information out there. So let's switch. Charlie, thank you. Because and folks, we need help. We're trying to take Virginia back, make sure that you're safe and everybody else is safe, which is why Mountain Patriots exists with its ministries. But Kent, we were talking a few seconds ago, and Charlie hit it off with wanting to take out President Trump and why. Okay. Their only mission out there right now for some people is to take out the president. And it's pure, unadulterated hatred. I don't care. We didn't go around in 2008 or anytime to 2015, 16 going, oh, we're going to go out there, we're going to take out Obama and we're going to go kill him. I mean, we just kind of worked our way through it. So why do you think all of this stuff is happening, my friend?
Well, there's a guy, I think his name is Victor Davis Hanson.
Victor Davis Hanson.
I really like to. I used to listen to him a lot on Tucker Carlson.
Yes.
And he basically summed it up in one quick thing: is that the reason why they're not a big Trump fan is because Trump is different, and that's it. He is not a politician. He is very different from the blueprint that has been running on for generations. And he's unpredictable, right? In a way, the thing with Trump is that he's going to tell you what he's going to do, but he doesn't tell you when he's going to do it, and it just gets done. And people, they can't handle it, and they hate him for it.
Right.
One of the biggest things I was looking into was the Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan had Elon Musk on, and of course, you ever watch any of his podcasts? They can go on for like 3.5, 4 hours. I mean, they go on a long time. And there were some very key details, and I want to read them off to you. The situations that surrounded Butler, Pennsylvania, and this is something that's very strange because
this is where the assassination attempt took place.
On the 13th of July. Yeah.
Right.
And what's strange is that we haven't been talking about anything about this. This has been ignored, and it should have been. This should be one of the hottest topics, and it should be going on right now.
Yep.
But in relation to the assassin, there's just some key things that Joe had pointed out. Was the assassin's house was professionally scrubbed. His home was scrubbed so well that there wasn't even silverware left in the home, which is very strange. I don't know if we have any silverware. We have some other stuff.
Wasn't that the guy with chopsticks?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So another strange thing is the guy was 20 years old, so no footprint on the internet, no social media footprint, which was completely wiped. He was in a BlackRock commercial.
Yep.
Joe Rogan says some individuals inside BlackRock may have recognized that it was beneficial to them if he gets assassinated, end of quote.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. There was never a formal report, which is strange to me. I mean, this is a serious situation when you're taking
on an assassination attempt on a president
on a former sitting president that's actually that's still
candidate,
running.
Right?
Yeah. There was never a press conference where they detailed all the information that they know currently and where the investigation stands at the moment. Very strange. He was a very young kid there with a rangefinder used to measure distances, which was very suspicious. And the other thing, too, that Joe was really harping on was that CNN had streamed this live.
Really?
And Joe Rogan does not believe that they did for any other rally except that day.
Yep.
And certainly not for a rally that's in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. This is Butler, Pennsylvania. I actually have a friend of mine who was from that area, and
and they saw the kid on the roof.
More than one person. And there's notifying law enforcement. They wouldn't let people be on that roof because the Secret Service lady, which was the head of the Secret Service at the time, she said it was sloped. It was dangerous. It was a minimal slope.
It was hot.
It was something like if you had a chicken hen house, it'd be something like to that level. It's just it wasn't sloped. The snipers that were on the other roof was a steeper pitch, and that was true. So this made no sense, right?
None.
Random people saw him and pointed him out on the roof with a gun for a very long time before it happened. I think it was 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The kid had 5 phones, which is strange. And his body was immediately cremated.
Immediately.
And lastly, I'll touch off on this. There were some indications that there was a phone that had been traveling from outside the FBI offices in D.C. to where this kid had lived multiple times. And the end is we need answers. Very strange, sir. And this is something that I'm surprised is not talked about a whole lot. There's a lot of great murder stuff on Netflix, for one. The Murtaugh murders, which is down in South Carolina, which was that attorney who murdered his son and wife,
Right.
and that happened. I mean, within recently, at the time, and they cut a show on that really quick, which is very disturbing. But nothing. It's just very weird. It's very strange that this is not talked about. This should be a deep investigation on what's going on, and nothing. And
What you just described, Kent, sends a chill down my back.
Yeah, doesn't it?
If they can do that and get away with it to the extent they have, it's there's nothing they can't get away with.
Kind of like Kennedy and the files that just came out that we have to go
Yeah,
through and try to figure all that stuff out again.
yeah, yeah.
it's hard to say, and
62 years.
it's
We
I
asked
don't
the
know.
question, why? I have a very simple answer to that. Why is we cut off their gravy train.
Yep.
Not just a few people, thousands of people who have been benefiting from USAID's outflow of money.
The
And
swamp.
yeah, and when you cut off the flow of money, they have nothing to lose because that's their livelihood.
Yep.
I think the bottom line is everything. It goes around money. That's the bottom line on all this stuff. It's
The
all
love
about
of
money.
money.
And when you shut it off, this is where people lose it, and or the threat of shutting off is where the people lose it. I mean, they're firebombing Teslas. 5 6 years ago, this was the greatest thing since sliced bread because this was going to solve the problems with the destruction of the earth, and we know that's not true. But now they're lighting them on fire. They're actually causing more of a hazard. They're destroying property that's not
Or
theirs.
pollution.
They're creating additional pollution. They're basically committing felonies, and anybody that's doing this stuff is going to be held accountable. But
But you
for
know
what
how many
purpose?
people is that going to wake up though, Kent? Because a lot of people that do, there's a lot of conservatives that drive Teslas, but the people that wanted to fell for the green news scam, you got those people that didn't like Trump that are scratching their head now going, wait a minute, why are they attacking me?
Well,
So they're seeing what Trump went through on a smaller scale.
look at
They're
it
coming
this way.
after him.
Look at it this way, guys. Going back to Elon, there was a problem in the International Space Station. Elon went to Biden and said, "I can get these folks out." They were only supposed to be up there 8 days. What do they do? They're going to be.
8 months.
They were up there not almost 9 months. Yeah, 8 months, 9 months. And the order was no, because you're siding with Trump, and we don't want to look bad. And you're going, this is that's outrageous. You got two
No
human
regard
beings.
for
We don't
human
want Trump
life.
to look good.
Yeah,
No regard for human life does not make any difference.
no. So that's kind of where things, the way I
That's a
see
shame.
it, that's how things lie. And if people get hurt, they don't care. As
That is
long as the
such a
right
shame.
people in their mind are getting hurt, it's just it is. I mean, you don't leave your Americans up, or anybody up there. I
But
mean, it's
they'll hurt their
outrageous.
own, Kent.
Yeah.
It's the sad thing about it is the worst thing about this is if you were the last person on, so if you want to be, if you're that evil, eventually you're the only person left. So if somebody's going to be evil, they're going to take you out all the way to the top. They might seem like your buddy now, but eventually you become a liability to them. Somewhere along the line, you become a liability to them, and they're going to take you out. So there's no place that's safe for
No.
these folks, and it's just gotten run rampant. That's why Trump wants all of these illegal people out of this country, and why we want to follow the rule of law. And that takes us back to why they want to kill him, because they can't control everybody and everything, which is exactly what they want to do for us. Which kind of leads us into to shift gears a little bit. This leads us right into DOGE, because we're right into back into the money again. You got all your NGOs that are getting paid for. About what 83% of them are being cut off. Okay. There's still, a couple $1 billion sitting in Citibank right now that they're trying to decide whether it's going to go or it's our money. Kent, what do you what research have you because I've done a lot on this too. What research have you and Charlie done on this one with
Well,
Social Security and the fraud and all the other stuff that we got going on?
I'll say, I guess compared to last week, we're still estimating savings of 115 billion. That's with a B,
$1
billion dollars. So we're still, and this is on the Department of Government Efficiency webpage. The
Yep.
people voted for major reform, it says, and the amount saved per taxpayer right now is $714.29. I had taken a look on X. There's a person called MJ Truth Ultra who's been verified.
Love it.
And you guys won't believe this.
MJ Truth is excellent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I've been hearing this for a long time. It's that we're going to run out of money with the Social Security. You know, they've been talking about it for decades, but you
They have
never hear
magic
them.
printing machines.
You never hear them. You never hear them running out of money with welfare. So get this, guys. From the age of 0 to 9, and I assume this is how much. I don't think this is. I think this is population, or
It's based on the census, if I'm not mistaken.
38,825,456,000 from the age of 0 to. Who's collecting Social Security from 0 to 9?
Amazing, isn't it?
Right. And when you look at this, remember, even Trump brought this out in that on that that election speech, or not the election, but the one with when he was in the House. The max age, one person, I think this is obviously this is
300
population. The age, and if you've lived this long, age 360 to 369, one person's collecting Social Security. From the age of 220 to 229, 1,039 people are collecting Social Security. This is outrageous. Even more outrageous, there's over
3.2 million.
3.5 million from the
At
age of
420.
140 to 149.
It's amazing.
3.5 million. And then at age 100 to 109, 4.7 million.
Is it 4.7?
Yeah. But the max.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I got it.
So so age 0 to 9 was 38 million people are collecting. And at age 30 to 39, which is the peak, is 52.1 million people.
It's amazing.
So where's that money going?
And why they haven't
How many
retired yet.
people in the United States? 330 something million.
I got it right
how
here.
many million people is that on Social Security?
Well, I got it right here. So what's worse? The total collecting Social Security, 394,415,712. Okay, so 394 million. The current U.S. population is only 346, 563,479. So there's a difference there. There's a gap of roughly 50 million people.
Yep.
Okay. This is outrageous. This cannot stand. Every single American should be pissed. I know I am.
That's why they're upset at Trump
Of course.
and Elon. You know, let me hit you with something today. You know, they were all complaining about. It just popped in my head. Went to a doctor's appointment yesterday. Boy, what a difference! And I spent 25 years in the healthcare industry, so I get out there yesterday. I go see the doctor. Everybody is like a cyborg. Okay, there's really no personality, and I talk to everybody. Charlie will tell you I don't talk to anybody. I never crack jokes, nothing. So they send me over to LabCorp. So I end up, this is a physical, but it was a meeting before the physical. Okay, so that's extra money. So anyway, I have to go into this kiosk and put all my information in, and then put my insurance card and my license in there so they can scan all this stuff. There's your CBDC type of stuff because they can track everything that you're doing again. And that's literally what they're trying to do, buddy. I'm telling you. And it blows my mind how this whole system is set up. And Trump and this cabinet is incredible on what they're doing. I don't care what some people say right now or not. But you've got all of this stuff going on, and you've got some great people in there, and you've got Americans out there that are okay with the fact that they want to track everything that you do, and they don't want you to live your life. And there's over 50 million extra people that are getting paid that actually live here. But they want to kill Trump.
If I just might add another example,
Please.
there was I'm not sure who the lady was, but I think she's taking over Department of Education.
McMahon?
I think so. She said that their budget is 280 billion,
Amazing.
roughly. 25% goes to students.
Right.
75% is $220 billion that don't go to students. So where does it go? That's what DOGE needs to dig in and get rid of, and use that as, we don't want to just transfer that thinking and that money flow to states. I mean, it's a cash cow to somebody, but well, we don't want it to continue. And but shutting that off is another, um, getting rid of the
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 fraud.
source of grift, and
Yeah.
that makes the grifters mad.
Well, that takes you to the auto pen, doesn't it, Charlie?
It sure does.
Go for it.
I mean, it's automatic. Um, there in fact are things, payments made in the Treasury that they're not allowed to not make. So you get to going backwards to where did all of this stuff come from?
Magic.
And we have a president that has been making executive orders and making things happen, evidently or essentially, supposedly running the administration. But I've always been concerned about what the staff in the White House, because the staff in the White House has the auto pen. They can make any changes they want. They can sign any executive orders they want by pushing the button and having Biden's signature there in auto pen. And it's just, there are a variety of people on, there were a variety of people on Biden's staff that were
Auto
communist, Islamic,
pen.
um,
Extremists.
extremists, and benefactors, beneficiaries of grift, that had essentially total access to creating all of these laws. They're not really laws, but they're close to it. Um, and the question now becomes: are they legal? Were there any
Exactly.
of those orders signed by AutoPen that should have only been signed by the president, whether it's Biden or Obama? I mean, we could go back. Obama was a heavy user of the AutoPen also,
He was.
and all presidents
Both.
are. It's not that AutoPen is bad; it's a tool. It's how it's used that's bad, because there are things that, thank you letters and commendations and all of those things
The rubber
uh,
stamp with your
that can be
signature on
rubber
it.
stamped, or auto pen, same thing.
Mhm.
And that's fine, because it's a big outfit. But what's the value? What's the legality of all of those um, signatures, of all of those orders signed by Biden, all the pardons, you
What
name it?
happens, Charlie? Kent, what do you think happens when and I think this is where, we looked at the judicial system and going after the judges, the immigrants, and so forth. Now we're into auto pen. What happens when people find out that some of these executive orders were written and auto pen, Kent, while he's on the golf course? Okay,
Well, I'm sitting
for
here.
stuff.
I'm sitting here trying not to
What
laugh.
happens to the laws that were signed by AutoPen? That's why Trump holds everything up.
I
He
guess it
signs it in front of you and holds it
and
up.
holds it up. I mean,
There's a
you know,
reason for it.
if
It's
my
not a
job
mistake.
if my job is to sign executive orders, I'm going to sign executive orders. That's what I'm there to do. And again, it's you're honoring the oath. That's how this process works. You have to put in some effort. And I'm chuckling here because I'm looking on X and someone has superimposed a couple of pictures over top of the auto pen, and it says this auto pen ran the U.S. government, and it has a couple of pictures of Biden sleeping on the beach.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the auto pen is just continuously going on. So I was trying not to laugh out loud too much, but I mean, it's ridiculous. You have to put in some effort to it, and obviously, the guy, I think he took over 400 days of vacation paid for
Hmm.
by us. And Trump went to work on once as soon as he got in. I think they even had a desk and a chair for him. As soon as he swore in, within
The
5 minutes
day.
later, he's actually signing
Signing executive orders.
executive orders. He said there was 200 of them that were going to be coming out. And so you have to put in some effort into this. Is your job. This is what you're elected to do. You have to be able to be cognitive and aware of what's going on, and sign something. You have to do your job. And I understand, like what Charlie says, Christmas cards and get well cards, or
Right.
sympathy things. Yeah, those get auto pen. But when it's serious like this, whether it's a pardon, you're signing an executive order, you're going to veto a bill, whatever the case may be, you got to do your job, or it's not valid.
Well, that's what DOGE also did too, because a lot of those people that we're paying aren't doing their job, and they're upset. So it takes you into that side of it too. Oh,
Let, let, let me
I
let
just
me
lost my
let,
job. Yeah,
let
Charlie.
me add more. Let me add one more example. In wondering what the Democrats are all about, they're defending uh, so that they want to keep the spending. There,
Yeah.
there was somebody who started an NGO in Austin, Texas, that's getting $18 million a month
Mm.
to be ready to take care of children that are coming
Wow.
across the border unescorted. And it's empty, has been
There's
empty
That's
for,
trafficking, and that's a shell company at the same time.
yeah, yeah. So if you are supporting this kind of waste in the government, uh, you don't belong anywhere near any levers of power.
You don't
Um,
belong here,
but they're all there.
but you don't belong here. If you can't live
Yeah, we've gored
peaceably
their ox.
and
We've gored
honestly,
their ox.
unbelievable. You know, I'm looking at this stuff. In the middle of all of this, you've got um, that Navy sailor. There's another little piece to this. Do you know that he was brought in by the FBI? I think his name was Pang, who's 38 years old. Kent, you probably read about it too. This guy, Zhang Ying Pang or Harry Pang, was 38 years old. The FBI was paying him 638. Let me see, I've got it in here somewhere. $700,000 to literally overthrow and blow up cities in the United States. And people are turning. I mean, he turned himself in. He didn't turn himself in. He just pled guilty to it. So that's just one that we caught. And he's like, you know what?
What
Hopefully,
was what was he doing in those cities? I missed that.
well, what they were doing is they were, um, they're trying to get a nuclear type of plutonium or something like that, uranium, and build bombs in different cities. And he hooked
Dirty
up with
bombs.
dirty bombs. He hooked up. His name was Harry Pang. He's 38 years old. And I was reading about this the other day. That's why I made a note, because I knew a little bit more about him. And he's part of national defense, and from what I understand, the FBI had paid him 600 and something, almost 700,000. Here it is. Worked for 8 years for the FBI, $665,638 dollars for this radioactive plutonium, and somebody he was hooked up with in Colombia to blow up places in American cities back in July of 2022. So when Obama got out, they never expected Hillary to lose. That was the first thing. Hillary lost, Trump turned everything on its ear. Okay. Now we're here. We've been able to expose, or it has been exposed, of what Biden's doing with DOGE and everything else, and what they've been doing for years. And now we're cleaning it up. And it amazes me that most Americans are tuned out to what's actually happening. I mean, it blows your mind. You don't care until it hits your own house. And
Yeah.
then you have a problem. Okay. Then you have a problem. And we're turning this thing literally on its ear. But this was radioactive plutonium with somebody, it's a confidential human source that gave a lot of this information up. But Charlie, I want to ask you a question. You were talking about that company down in Texas. It was an NGO that got how much? $20,000 or $20 million?
$18 million a
Right.
month
Okay. Right. A month.
Wow.
Right. That's what I thought.
for about what, 2 or 3 years,
Right. And nothing's there.
and nothing's there. Someone went there and they went inside. They got inside and they
I
saw
saw
all the
that.
offices were empty.
I saw that.
They even showed the offices empty.
And you're like, really? And we're paying for this.
The only thing open was the cafeteria.
Hmm.
Well, and that's probably because it was contract with the outside. So a contractor is obligated to come and be there for lunch. So they make food every day for themselves and who knows for who else.
Got it. Well, let's do this. We're rolling through, and we've gotten to the auto pen. Now it's time to and DOGE. It's time to change things. We've got to do something. Everybody needs to do something locally. Okay, get their hands a little bit dirty. I know, Charlie, you and I know you spend at least 15, 20 hours a week, if not more, going through a lot of this stuff. Barbara and I are doing a lot of this stuff. I know Kent does play between the net and the meetings and programs like this. But we now have the elections. But before we get into the elections, why don't we take a minute and talk a little bit, Charlie, about some of the opportunities that there are as being part of Mountain Patriots and what the conference is going to bring. Do you want to cover that part?
Yeah, yeah. And as a reminder, we have a conference coming June 28th at the Bingo Hall behind the Millwood Fire Department
Yep.
in down near Costco in Winchester, just outside of Winchester. In which we'll have a lot of people come and tell us more about how government is being run, how it should be run. But Dana started this list of reasons why we should belong to Mountain Patriots. And so far we have 28 reasons. And I think there's probably even more. Just to set on a couple of them, network with other like-minded Christian patriots. A very important thing to be able to do, because if you're by yourself and bad stuff happens, you're by yourself, you won't survive.
Right.
We have weekly meetings. We have the Wake Up Winchester a few times a year as a larger conference. We espouse the Christian worldview. So you'll find like-minded Christians as our members, but not a requirement. It's just that it's like the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence was based on Christian values, but it wasn't a Christian church thing. It was that the founders, the writers, the creators of the Declaration and Constitution had that as their worldview. We have that as our worldview also. We have a network of patriots that can help in a crisis, a disaster. We mentioned that earlier. All sorts of disasters. We have education and training on Second Amendment and self-defense. We have a
And we
communication
do
network.
CPR, Charlie. We've done CPR.
Yeah,
We've done uh, 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 just about anything training from sickness. We have doctors that work with us, so we're pretty rounded out.
yeah, and we have a communication network. We
Correct.
use, as Kent mentioned, we have regular check-ins on the network with GMRS radios, which is something beyond CB, beyond little walkie-talkies, but just short um, of ham radio level.
Hmm.
And we have some ham radio operators, and we're encouraging everybody to get their license and be able to communicate because it's such a benefit when things like Asheville, North Carolina comes along and hits us. We also assist feeding families. We've distributed several tons of venison to hungry families
About 6,000
and
pounds.
needing families and just to help the poor among us.
Mhm.
And we get that venison from hunters who um, love to hunt but don't eat it all. So we're able to do that. And we have election integrity groups. And that's a topic we're probably going to touch on a little bit next is the elections. Um,
Let's do
because
that.
we want it to be done the right way. We want it to be done honestly. We want it to be done effectively, and we want the integrity, people with integrity to run and fill positions, and and medical speakers and training for sickness to CPR, basic emergencies, and as well as we learn a lot about food preparation, food storage, uh, best foods to eat for health reasons. So that uh, maybe covers a few of the 28 reasons we have for being a part of Mountain Patriots. And by the way, we have $20 a month dues or $200, $240 a year dues. Or if you're not able to pay dues, your time and talent is treasure enough for us
Is more important.
to, and it is more important for us to be working together and helping each other.
And it's deductible.
End of commercial.
And a commercial. All right. But let's put you, it's a nice segue, Charlie, into the elections because all of us have pretty much worked in elections. We had 23 of us out there a couple of years ago at the polls and so forth. Election integrity is extremely important. You guys probably know that Ed Martin is the acting attorney right now, and he's actually going after election integrity. He's got the SUEA, I think it's called. Um, which is uh, designed to bring election integrity back in, and he's going after fraud. We know all about Acorn in 2008. He's one of these folks that knows, like a lot of us do, that J6 was, because the election was rigged. Okay. And yes, I'm going to say the election was rigged, and all of that stuff will come out too. So we're going to see a lot of, we just feel that there's a lot of things that are going to become more transparent. But we have to do something here in Virginia. And Kent, why don't you take what we did on Monday night? We'll start with we had Dave LaRock out last week, and this week we want to see everybody. We're fair across the board. So we want to see anybody who's running for any office, whether Republican, Independent, Democrat, we don't care. We want to hear. It's the only way that we learn. And then we decide for ourselves individually, not as a group, who we want to elect ourselves. So we had Dave LaRock out. We have a few more people coming out. And last week we had John Reed, who's coming out, who's running for lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
And we had a good meeting on that. What'd you think, Kent?
Yeah, I thought he was a great guy. He was very articulate, very grounded. He was a very grounded person, and I liked him as a person. He's a native Virginian. There was a big thing, and he's a Reagan conservative. Remember, he considered himself as a Reagan conservative.
Work with
Uh,
Reagan.
yeah, and yeah, he said he probably couldn't work well with Trump just because on personality level, but that's okay. It's all about the mission. He's also a broadcaster and businessman, but he's the most important thing. He's running for lieutenant governor of 2025,
Mhm.
and yeah, he seemed very forward leaning. A lot of the stuff that he was talking about aligns, I think, with a good grounded value on moving things forward. He's got a great page on X and posts things on here that align with the views that we see things. Because, if you have a young child and it's going through school, John says parents want to be in charge of their own children's lives. I mean, absolutely. That's why you're a parent. They should be. He says even Democrat voters are gonna agree with me on this, but you can bet I do not and will not stand for it, which is the transitioning, socially transitioning kids in school, which to me is just outrageous.
Right.
I didn't, I'm still a young guy. I remember school. I've never remembered anything as sinister as what is going on nowadays. It just, I don't know where that movement had happened, but it's happening, and John is resisting. He's fighting it. He's also very upset with, obviously, like everybody else, is vandalizing Tesla. In his term, if you don't agree with something, a product or what somebody's preaching, stop buying their product. Why are you lighting it on fire? You got to realize you can't be a child and not get your way and just destroy people's property. There's going to be consequences to pay for it. That's exactly the way I feel about these things. But I like John. I'm glad he came out. He stayed for the entire 2-hour meeting and shook his hand, and I wished him the best of luck.
Excellent. Charlie, what was your take on it? He was very open with it. I mean, he's one of the few openly gay men that are actually running for office. We do know that Rick Grinnell worked as a foreign, um, for lack of better terms, DNI, and also working across the seas, for lack of better terms, worldwide with President Trump. You also have Scott Bessent, who's part of the Treasury. It's an openly gay man as well. And we were looking more as a Christian organization. We're looking at policy, and we're looking at the best person that we think can be out there. And I was really impressed at the fact that he actually shared that with us. And he's all against the castration of kids. He's very, very interested in what's going on with the education part of what's happening. He doesn't push his views or his ideas and so forth on anybody. And he kind of caught a few people off guard there because we were sat back and go, wow, this is a concern. He said, what? Okay. But when we got a chance to hear and do some research on the C's platform, we were really impressed for him. This isn't an endorsement of anybody. We're just kind of giving you our opinions and ideas on what we've seen. And we encourage everybody to go out there and take a look at the candidates. I don't vote on one single item. I want to see is any person perfect? No. All men sin and fall short of the glory of God. That's Romans 3:23. And we just want to make sure that we have the right people in place, and we're going to make sure that we get a chance to see everybody. Charlie, I know you had some input on John as well, and everybody I've talked to from Mountain Patriots was pretty impressed with him. What was your take?
Yeah, I was very impressed with him. Um, like Dave LaRock, he
Mhm.
talked a worldview, a political view, a social view that I completely agree with. I mean, it's listening to him was like listening to Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And by the way, he worked for Ronald Reagan for years. He has a really impressive background, and I was pleased to hear him espouse virtually all the things that we are espousing. And as far as being gay, that doesn't matter. Um, I'm not in his
Some people are
face.
going to disagree with you on that point.
Well, but I'm not the way I look at it, I'm not in his face about my sexuality, and
Thank
he's
you.
not in my face about his. He was just being honest that here's a clinker in the woodpile that some people aren't going to like. You need to know that if you're considering I mean him, for um, for being the candidate, voting in the primary, and then in the general. Um, I've always believed that in addition to what Martin Luther King said, it's not just the color of your skin, it's the content of your
Content of your
character.
character. Yeah.
And it's not your sexuality, it's the content of your character. Um, I've had people work for me that are gay.
Mhm.
I have family members. I
Mhm.
have friends
Me too.
that are the same way. It's like the black guys that worked for me for many years. I totally forgot they were black.
I
It
didn't
it,
think of
it
it
didn't
either.
didn't mean a thing. And if someone asked me, well, is so and so black? Or how many blacks work for you?
I don't know.
Let me think. I have to count it because I don't really know.
So you didn't have
And
to use diversity, equity, and inclusion and have X amount of certain people there, Charlie. You actually went with the content of their
well,
character and their merit and their skills over I have to have so many white, green, yellow, orange, blue, purple people.
that would be a nightmare to have to
Oh,
manage. I was a manager for years, and if I was given work people to work for me that were only hired on DEI, um, that would be terrible.
I
And
can't
being
imagine.
woke. I mean, I spent 20 years as a manager and mid-level executive, and um, I don't think I would even want to do it today. I mean, it's
I
just,
ran two business, one, two, three different businesses
yeah.
and worked in the public sector, for years in
So
big
as
corporate.
far
Same
as
thing.
whether he's gay or not, um, I guess the only consideration is, does that affect his electability? Because we really need to get and keep control of Virginia and regain control in the um, House of Burgess,
The
whatever, whatever,
House and the Senate.
the House and the Senate. And because things, as Dana, as you mentioned before we even started today, we've got education coming back, being pushed back to the states.
Going to make a
Well,
difference.
there's a whole lot of things that need to change in what education is pushing. And if we have the wrong people in there,
Right.
it's just going to be a repeat of what's in Washington, D.C. And we cannot afford that. Our only way to change our culture back to what it should be is to teach the children right
And get out there.
and help them be good citizens and understand right from wrong and have common sense. That's not being taught today. So um, I shouldn't say it's not being taught. There's some teachers out there that are doing that, but all it takes is one or two teachers for all the kids to cycle through their class to pick up on DEI and all of that terrible stuff that's being foisted on our kids. And that's what's creating these robots in voting for what the party says. Yeah, you look at uh, the interviews that are done um, by Johnny on wherever he happens to be um, on Jesse's show, Jesse Waters' show.
Right.
Uh, they are categorically stupid, but they've been made that way. That's not their fault. They have been totally uneducated on what's important and educated on more on genitalia.
Mm-hmm.
Sick.
I'm going to add something to that, Charlie. We have Ann Craftatus that's coming up on June 28th. She is the mama bear of mama bears when it comes to education. I want to put that in there. But when we watched, and I'm sure Ken will agree with me on this one too, as you probably will too. We watched the president talk to both parts of Congress, the House and the Senate. And when you have a young kid that's up there that survived cancer, okay, and not one Democrat could stand up. I mean, even for something like that, or Lakin Riley. And Lakin Riley, that goes back into Bosberg. Okay. They were all anti Lakin Riley, stuff. So we see who's running the country. My point here being when people see that, plus they're seeing uh, immigrants, dangerous people being shipped out of here that some people like Elon Omar and Mazie Hirono in Hawaii and Bosberg and so forth want to bring back into the country. Okay. And then you see what's going on with the judges, and then you see what's going on with the police departments, and you see what's going on with schools. But that little picture of Trump talking to all of those people, how many people in the next 7 months do you think are going to see enough where they scratch their heads and go, I don't want another Democrat. They only have a 29% approval rating right now. You get what I'm saying, Kent? I mean, you start looking at this thing going, well, and a lot of people are saying, my party, I didn't desert the Democratic Party. They deserted me. They left me out of here to do this. And now I don't like what I'm seeing. What do you think, Kent?
It looks like a circus.
It is a circus clown show.
When you watched it, Trump give that speech that night to that little kid, I tell you what, I got choked up.
I did too.
And I don't think anybody who didn't have a heart would have. You know what I mean? It was just like, and then he hugged the Secret Service chief. That kind of like really like said it. And not one of those people got up.
One.
Yeah.
One lady got up.
Okay, one lady.
One.
Right? The rest of them sat there. They were either on their phones, they had a scowl. And, the best is Trump called him out. He goes, no matter what I say or do, it will never be good enough. And that's true.
That was genius to start it off that way.
Absolutely. And it shows the true colors of a hatred for one man that runs so deep that you won't even stand up to a kid who's had, all countless brain surgeries. It's just outrageous.
Kent, if I may take your observation and visualize it a bit. In this country, in any country, every country, you have freedom or tyranny. And if freedom rises, tyranny goes away. As tyranny rises, freedom goes away. What you saw in that chamber was the whole one side of it, tyranny. They did not have the freedom to say what they thought or felt. They had to follow the boss.
Obey.
And on the other side, you had freedom. Your freedom to think logically and common sense.
Great point.
I hope that little kid lives a fulfilling life, right? Chances are he probably won't. And his dad's really proud, and it's just
kept holding him up.
Yeah. And for them,
they went to the Oval Office. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was really cool, man.
And yeah, you're right, Charlie. It's complete division. It's the goal of divide and conquer, and it just shows what you are dealing with, and it's just, how can you not just have some sympathy for somebody that's going through something like that? I could never imagine it. But they showed their true colors, and just look how miserable these people are. They're miserable they're just not happy.
No,
they're miserable.
Didn't see any smiles over there.
Of course not. Side. It reminded me of a Batman movie. It felt like the villains of Gotham City were trying to rally and go after Trump. The guy, the Texas guy
Batman.
with the cane. Yeah, it's like, is this a new Batman movie they're making? It's outrageous, and but that's what they want. They don't want a united country. They want a divided country.
Yeah, in addition to wanting a divided country, I heard someone say, in fact, this was on Gutfeld, what he said.
Oh, Gutfeld was great the other night, too.
The difference between Republicans and Democrats is Republicans make things, Democrats break things. Simple.
Yeah, I always say there's two types of people in this world. There's producers and there's consumers. It's the same thing.
The wanna-doers and the gonna-doers are the never-doers.
Takers and the givers.
Yep.
Yeah. I was taught back when I started a sales career when I was younger. I was 20, 21 years old. I owned my own business by the time I was 24. So I trained thousands of people. I'm like Kent. I love to train people. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And I was taught by one of my first bosses. He says, Dana, if you have a choice between hanging out with somebody who's negative or somebody with the bubonic plague, go out and hang out with the person with the bubonic plague, because you can go in there and you can cheer them up and feel really good with it. Okay. You hang around with somebody that's negative and there ain't no way you're getting out. And he used to tell me, we the unknowing, led by the unwilling, are doing the impossible for the ungrateful. I mean, it amazes me Well, I think, is there any last words that you guys have, Kent? Anything that you want to pop in here before we end our second podcast here?
No, I mean, nothing that's pressing. I think we kind of hit everything that we wanted to talk about. Of course, there's tons of content,
Oh,
more things to go into. You can go down to a deep dive, but
we got
uh,
Kennedy yet coming up
yeah, every day is a new day. You know, there's
every
always
day.
something new that's coming out. So we'll have plenty more to talk about it.
Yep. Charlie, how about you, buddy?
Yeah, I'd like to close out with a prayer, our Mountain Patriot prayer.
Absolutely. But let me do one real quick thing and then we'll do that.
Yes,
First off, I want to thank all of the viewers that are watching this, and I'm going to ask you a couple favors.
yes,
Number one, in order to take this country back, we're going to need your help. Okay. And everything's got to be done on a local level. So when you see this video, if you like what you see, subscribe, please share, tell other people about it, get it out there. I've got Amanda Chase that just texted me. She's running for governor. Boy, I mean, they've got me busy. But just as important, we want to know what people do. So if you want any information on Mountain Patriots, go to mtpatriots at proton.me and email us. We are a 508c1a non-stock corp. We're tax deductible corp. Also, we have our Wake Up Winchester Health and Freedom Conference, the 8th one we've done in the last 2 years. We want to know what our political elected officials actually do. What does the clerk of court do? What does the commissioner of the? We've learned all of this, and we're going to cover some stuff on the amendments. Kent is covered quite a few on Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments at our meetings. So make sure that you go to Wake Up Winchester. Tickets are going to be $20. You're going to get pizza for lunch. Great networking opportunity. Just go to wakeupwinchester.com. But make sure you like this video, share this video, and tell other people about it. And if you don't like it, we're sorry, because that's just the way we see it. And that's the name of that tune. So, Charlie, I want to thank both you and Kent for being here. And I want to thank everybody again for watching it. And of course, we are Christian Ministry. So I'm going to ask Charlie to take us out with a Mountain Patriots prayer, please.
let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful world and the country you've given us and the patriots who are willing to care for it. We thank you for inspiring our founders to create this beautiful republic, and please help us keep it as the aspiring place to be. Please give us the wisdom to do the right things, the common sense to judge wisely, the energy to never give up, and your unending grace in which we take comfort. In your name we pray. Amen.
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 That's the Mountain Patriots. We've not only do we have a credo, but we have our own prayer. Thank you, Mr. Markert, for doing all that stuff for us. I want to thank everybody again for watching. And until next time, keep your powder dry, keep your head on a swivel, and ABC, which means
Always be
Please
caring.
be caring.
you all have a great day.